I'm Kate Harper, 35. I run operations at Chicago tech firm Hive. Sounds fancy. Simply put, I fix every stuck issue for the whole meeting: travel, purchases, project launches, over 100 requests stall daily waiting for unresponsive approvals. I arrived 40 minutes early, knowing today would be chaotic. The 9:36 department resource meeting always drags on and never finishes full agenda. I sat down, set my coffee my side, and started budget confirmed. Tech has a release update. Product wants new sprint tasks. Legal reviews contracts. Finance found data errors, and sales needs more Q3 promotion resource. Fix them all. I use green magnets for confirmed tasks and red ones for pending work on my whiteboard. Today, red pending magnets outnumbered green confirmed ones by 12. I stared at the board, then called the sales VPI's assistant. When's he free?
He's fully booked today. Next Monday?
The meeting is today. I need his budget confirmation now. Then find him in his office directly. I hung up and took 3 deep breaths. Printers hummed, heels clicked down the hall, and product and tech argued over task priorities. The red magnets glinned under office lights, like hidden troubles waiting for me. At 9:15, HR walked in with a new suited staff member.
Kate, this is your new executive assistant, Bella.
She looked around 30, standing straight and steady. Her sharp brown eyes quickly scanned every detail of my office. She judged every item's placement and practicality. We shook hands. Her grip was dry, neutral, and precise. Welcome. What's your work background?
Hive governance, she spoke with absolute certainty. I align massive teamwork with core overall goals.
Hive governance? You mean beekeeping? She tilted her head, calmly analyzing my question.
It's a metaphor. I've managed over 50,000 efficient, non-conflicting units.
Her resume only noted large-scale organization work with no specific company. I meant to ask more, but the sales VP replied briefly, in a meeting. Have you done administrative work before?
I've managed precise complex systems. Admin work is just adaptive rhythm control to me. I stared at her for 3 seconds. She never looked away. No arrogance, just quiet certainty, like she saw the full picture I could not.
Fine. Your trial starts today.
She nodded and took the doorside corner desk with full office views. Her only personal item was a glass paperwaiter with a frozen flying bee inside.
I planned to train her on company workflows. But before the meeting, I only had 10 minutes to teach her the room booking system. Does the room capacity match the attendant number? What do you mean? The room fits 15, yet we have 19 attendees. 4 extra people will sit by the wall with no table or laptop, slowing down all decisions.
I checked the booking and confirmed her words. This is usual for us. It's too late to change the room.
No room change is needed. Move 4 folding chairs to Babel ends to form a U shape, so everyone gets table space and joins in better. But the table is not long enough.
No extension needed. Just add 2 folding chairs at each end of the fixed table.
It took me seconds to see how simple yet brilliant her solution was.
Before I could reply, she walked straight to the conference room. Chaos arrived early. Departments sat scattered and disorganized. Marketing sat at the back, tech in the middle, and product at the far end. The speaking order followed a rigid spreadsheet list: finance, legal, tech, product, marketing, sales. Every discussion required repeated context and was often different. No notes, but watching every understandings. She observed who spoke side first, who interrupted, who got distracted, and who zoned out. She silently mapped out the meeting's chaotic rhythm and rules in her mind. 30 minutes into the meeting, she stood up, walked to the whiteboard, and picked up a marker.
We need to reset the meeting's rhythm and order.
The whole room froze, confused to see an assistant taking charge of the meeting.
I'll reprioritize the agenda.
She grouped related departments: finance and legal, tech and product, marketing, and she working task by dependency: basic data first, idea-based decisions second, and cross-department actions last.
Please continue with tech.
The marketing director tried to object, but the tech lead spoke 30 minutes early, with all agenda items completed. I watched everyone left in calm silence, like a storm had finally passed. How did you do that?
The old order wasted time on repeated connections between every round of discussion. Efficiency needs no content changes, only a better speaking order. Right rhythm brings natural efficiency.
That afternoon, I searched Hive governance but found nothing. For 2 weeks, I tried labeling Bella's management style, but none fit. She wrote no plans, sent no follow-up emails, and held no one-on-one meetings. She never sat long. She walked the floor, checking team progress, room bookings, and office devices. She was not inspecting. She was simply passing through. Yet subtle changes began to happen. Tasks that needed 3 follow-up calls now got replies almost instantly. Late travel reimbursements were now submitted half a day earlier. Disorganized team schedules aligned perfectly, as if internal gears had been quietly fixed. By the 3rd week, I could no longer hold back my curiosity. Bella, you do no visible work, yet everything in the team runs far smoother.
I observe everyone's work rhythm and match tasks accordingly. Whose rhythm exactly do you observe? Fast thinkers handle urgent decisions, while focused people take on complex analysis. Matching tasks to rhythm saves extra effort. How do you tell everyone's work trait? I watch their eyes while they listen. Gaze movement reveals their trait and whether the task suits them.
I recalled recent changes. The tardy tech staff improved greatly after his tasks were properly adjusted. You never ask for the staff's opinions.
No need. I set the order. With properly arranged fit paper, with a beast always fall into place.
I stared at her, realized she was not working, but arranging, quietly fixing all messy links in the team. I had not noticed any of her subtle moves, until the entire workplace turned clean and efficient overnight. No noise, no pressure, just silent and effective optimization. She remained calm and low-key through all the changes, Quiet rhythm brings the best efficiency. Week 4, I decided not to interfere with Bella. I moved her corner desk to the open office center with full sightlines. She said nothing, placing her paperwork in the exact same desk spot. I noticed a strange pattern. Bella arrived sharply at 8:27 every morning. She walked the whole office floor, then settled at her desk and adjusted her paperwork. She started working punctually at 8:32 every day. I arrived at 7:50 early one morning just to observe her routine. At 8:27 she walked in, saw me and nodded gently.
She followed her exact daily routine without any change. Right at 8:32, she began her work. Do you stick to this time every single day?
I arrived 3 minutes early to start work calmly.
Why exactly 8:27, not 8:25 or 8:30?
The 7:57 train plus a 30-minute walk ensures stable early arrival for undisturbed preparation.
Realized she'd answered my unspoken question. Her every move and minute was precisely calibrated. I spotted an unused iron gray quill pens beside her paperwhacker for the first time. It sat exactly 2 inches to the right of the paperwhacker. I checked all office orders and found no match. It was her personal item. The quill looked like key to some hidden lock I could never find. She was not here for trivial work, but for something far greater that I could not yet see.
Week 5 Wednesday, I spotted something odd in the meeting. Davis stood to report, cleared his throat and let out a soft low hum. I froze. Others looked up briefly but ignored the strange hum. After the hum, Davis spoke slower yet much clearer.
System lag caused a 7% sales undercount. Here is the corrected data.
His report finished in 3:40, half his usual time. After the meeting, I asked Davis why he hummed before speaking.
It made my speech clearer.
Who taught you this?
No one. It just felt right.
Back at my desk, I saw Bella staring silently at Davis down the hall. She gave a tiny, subtle nod, as if receiving a signal. I stayed late to sort out monthly workflow records. Bella was the last to leave and paused by my desk.
I saw you watching Davis today. You noticed that?
He found a new speaking rhythm. That tone cleared his mind, cut waste, and boosted efficiency.
Did you teach him this rhythm?
I taught no one. I adjusted meeting structures, people self-adapt, and the tone comes naturally. I leaned back, staring at her in the quiet, humming empty office.
Bella, what are you truly doing here?
I reduce system noise. Confusion comes from mismatched rhythms. I tune everyone to the same frequency to calm the team.
So you're tuning the whole team's rhythm?
You could say that. You slept renly last night.
How can you tell? Your uncovered yawn at 3 p.m. showed fading focus. Match your schedule to your energy curve and you won't need coffee. She left silently, the door clicking shut behind her. I sat stunned. She'd observed me all day without my noticing, and every judgment was correct. She saw my hidden fatigue and tiny flaws that I could not see myself. Davis hummed briefly before every key presentation, in short or low sustained tones. Everyone noticed his strange habit, yet no one spoke of it publicly. It was an unspoken office secret, an obvious anomaly nobody dared to name. Over lunch, I asked Davis if he'd explain the hum to anyone.
I always say nothing when people ask. It came naturally. Overwhelmed by messy agendas, I breathed deep and hummed, like rebooting my mind.
And it made your presentations much cleaner.
The hum blanks my mind briefly. Only core info remains when I speak.
I simply used a practical method, caring nothing for its tone or frequency. Has Bella ever talked to you about this?
Bella never mentioned it. She only nodded at me after one report.
No praise, no words, no explanation, only a single silent nod. Davis remembered that tiny gesture. He felt seen, not praised. I realized Bella influences everyone through silent gestures. People receive her signals without even noticing.
The new department head was Lambert. He'd come from a traditional manufacturing company. He spoke loudly, loved long wind-ups, and spent 3 minutes on background before a 1-minute conclusion. His first cross-functional presentation was scheduled for 40 minutes. He was still going at 50. At the end, legal stood up and walked out. Bella didn't wait for him to finish. At the 35-minute mark, she stood up.
She crossed off the last 2 agenda items. We'll move these to next time. Today's key items are complete.
Did I finish?
You're done. You spent 35 minutes on background and 1 minute on conclusion. Next time, lead with the conclusion and add context afterward. Let your audience know your point early.
Lambert's face flushed. He opened his mouth to push back.
But Bella was already seated, closing her notebook. The others started standing up too. They weren't running from him. They were just following Bella's time. Lambert became the first person to actively resist. Week 2. He kept his long raid openings. Bella kept cutting him off at 35 minutes. Week 3, he tried to compress, but he still ran over. Week 4, in an elevator alone with him, you could try that thing.
What thing?
Before you present, make a short sound. Helps you focus.
I don't need background music to talk.
Lambert looked at me with a sneer. I agree, but it might not be music, it might be a reset. He didn't respond. The elevator stopped and he walked out, shoulders tight. The next week, before he started, there was a pause. He didn't make a sound, but he stopped for a beat, like he was making a decision.
The conclusion is, we need more server capacity.
His pace wasn't fast, but his starting point had shifted. He went straight to the punchline. That 1 beat pause. Incomplete, but it was a beginning. Lambert never admitted using that method, yet his pre-presentation pause grew natural. He tucked the pause between flipping pages or hid it in a sip of water. He was not recopying Davis, only adjusting his own air intake. Bella found their own required sound, but made rhythm adjustments perceptible. Lambert paused. The architect stared at slides silently. Company formed a new Tammet quiet rule for the first 3 minutes of every meeting. People settled down, scanned agenda, adjusted breathing silently, and prepared to start. The quiet rhythm was contagious, making everyone slow down unconsciously. One afternoon, I saw Bella slightly watching tea leaves unfurl in hot water in the break room. You make tea every day? Sometimes.
Why tea over coffee?
Tea's waiting process, including boiling and steeping, helps recalibrate breathing.
So your way of tuning yourself is waiting.
Waiting is no waste. It helps people exert old tasks and enter new ones cleanly. I wrote down the rhythm of waiting in my notebook. I moved the meeting earlier 15 minutes only for waiting and adjustment. Everyone needed for arrival, defocused attention. All staff sat quietly and gathered their thoughts in the waiting period. The presenter started directly without redundant background introduction. The waiting made every participant fully present for the meeting. The new quiet rhythm made meetings efficient and well-organized. Rhythm and silent waiting changed the whole team's working state. Subtle rhythm adjustment brought huge changes to the whole company. Silent waiting is the most powerful rhythm of work.
Howard, in his 50s, walked fast in a dark blue shirt, khakis, always holding a thermos. He rarely visited operations, but passed through one afternoon. I waited in the hallway as Howard slowed down to listen to the meeting room. A brief silence spoke clearly for the presentation fell inside, followed a low hum with half-second gaps. No interruptions or overlapping talks.
Are they humming in there?
It's a way for them to stay focused.
Whose idea?
I hesitated, then told him it was Bella's idea to regulate rhythm and reduce noise. Howard entered quietly, and everyone straightened up at his arrival.
Only Bella stayed calm, turning her notebook page and listening on. Howard sat in the corner and observed the meeting for minutes. He listened to tech and product updates, nodded, then walked toward the door.
Meetings are a lot faster now.
Yes, they are. He made no comments on Bella or the method, only stating his observation and left. He paused at the elevator at the end of the hallway. He took out his phone and made a call. He spoke slower than usual during the call. He seemed to be tuning his own rhythm as well. By month 4, the hum needed no explanation. Seniors told newers to try a low-frequency hum to stay focused before presentations. Some tried the hum, others did not, yet everyone began to pause before speaking. Cross-functional meetings shortened from 90 minutes to 55 minutes. Approval turnout shortened from 4 days to 2. Monthly purchase resubmissions dropped from 40 to 12. The improvement came from no new rules, tools, or incentives. I stayed in my original position, made no special adjustments, and simply witnessed the team's data improve on its own. I stayed late at night to finish the quarterly report. Bella had left, leaving her desk empty and tidy. A sticky note with one handwritten word "good" lay beside her paperweight. It had no signature, date, or explanation, with neat handwriting. The simple word implied that everything was running smoothly. I shut down my computer and prepared to leave. My footsteps turned on the hallway lights, which dimmed after I passed. Bella changed no one, but adjusted the team's connecting rhythm. She let Davis hum, Lambert pause, and the architect observe slides silently. Like tightening loose screws, the whole team mechanism operated smoothly on its own. I watched countless lit office windows across the city at night. Many people were trapped in inefficient and broken work processes. The lights on Hive Tech's 6th floor went out 40 minutes earlier than usual. The early dark was not from leaving early, but from finishing work efficiently.
By month 5, positive changes spread beyond the operations department. Logan, VP of Product, became the first active adopter of the new rhythm model. Logan stood up in the management meeting. He noticed operations efficiency improvement and asked for its standard document. I glanced at Bella, who remained completely unresponsive.
I noticed pre-presentation prep moves among the team. Some hummed, some paused, and product hoped to adopt the same rhythm.
There was no official process. Its core was task rearrangement and personalized ways to focus. Logan nodded and jotted down notes. 1 week later, Product's weekly meeting time dropped significantly. Product did not copy the hum, but created its own rule. Writing a one-sentence summary saved long preambles. I asked Logan about the new rule's effect.
The team accepted and followed the new rule voluntarily.
In 3 days, the new habit became natural and necessary. Why did everyone accept it so fast?
It worked instantly, cutting useless talk and saving working time.
I returned to tell Bella about Product's new changes. It was a good sign.
Do you mind them changing your method?
She owned no fixed method, only an adjustable core structure.
I stared at Bella's unused Poil pen and suddenly understood. The pen was not for writing, but for reminder.
The real tool is the underlying structure behind all forms.
The team's changes gradually brought workplace pushback. Fisher, senior legal counsel, was the first to openly object. Fisher approached me after the cross-functional meeting.
He questioned the humming practice's official approval and documentation. He asked whether refusers would be treated differently at work.
I replied that no formal policy existed and it was fully voluntary.
There is implicit pressure among my team members.
I thought carefully and analyzed the source of workplace pressure. Self-perceived pressure from better colleagues was not a system flaw. I promised to handle any improper evaluation from managers immediately. Fisher observed me, judging whether I was brushing him off. He suggested a written clarification to exclude it from performance reviews. I agreed with his professional suggestion. The next day, I prepared an official internal email. The email clarified all presentation methods were optional for employees.
No refusal of such methods would affect personal performance evaluation. Bella paused by my desk and commented the email was accurate. I wondered how she knew the email's exact content. Judged the result from Fisher's relaxed facial expression and posture. What would happen if I refused to send the email?
I would not refuse, for I always valued structural stability. Clear boundaries were essential for a safe and stable team structure.
Bella finished her words and walked away quietly. I realized I was also a regulated unit in her overall structure. Such objective observation should discomfort me, yet I felt completely at peace.
HR started mentioning it in quarterly reviews, not as a problem, but because they were watching too. Your team sentiment internal community index is up 11 community cent. What's the sentiment index? Not that people are happier, it's that communication is cleaner. People don't need 3 preamble messages to get to their point. Less anxiety? You think this is related to Bella? Are you asking me, or do you already know the answer? I think I know, but I'm not sure I'm understanding it right. I've noticed one detail, never anyone's actual mean work content. She only touches order. Once they're ordered, she didn't move them. Like someone who just alphabetizes the books on a shelf. The rest is people choosing which ones to read. That sounds simple. The simpler things are, the harder they are to see. Because people notice change, not order. What bad after and I walked by Bella's desk, her screen was on. The internal for eternal messaging app she had never used to open as is that was 2 unread message. Was through system noticed us like she was justice basic. All her commune architect who never spoke just moved walls and everyone found their own way to the room.
6 months in, Davis came to see me. He was sales VP now, spoke with more graviton. He paused at my office door, like he was waiting for a silent cue. He'd already internalized that pause before speaking rhythm.
Kate, I want to talk about the hum.
Go ahead.
If I still use it every day, but it's not neat anymore. It's like chest and fine shoes become a habit, but I still think I'd have felt better if I'd done it.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm saying is I don't know how to explain it to new people. They notice. Someone asked me, why do you do that for every meeting? I couldn't really say. It's like a prep to mind, but I can't quite put into words what actually reminders.
What do you think it is?
A reminder that for the next few minutes my words need to count, like a tap on the shoulder saying, your turn, make it good. I just want to know, is this normal, or am I tied to it?
Davis, you chose it. You're not dependent on it. Dependences can't function without it. Choice is I can take it or leave it, but prefer it. You're the latter.
Kate, when'd you get so good at this?
Maybe someone tuned me. I remember Smaliest. I sat in my office. She put him in sales, doing rental client negotiation one, putting everyone where they were always meant to be.
By month 8, the hum began to fade. Not that people stopped using it, they just used it less. Davis still hummed before major archentations, but he, for daily team meetings, still stared at his first greet for 10 seconds. But he'd started to cut original resist. Lambert paused to beat to flip a unit speech, like he was doing it incidentally.
Seems like you guys are using it less now?
Yeah, because the rhythm's internalized. I used to need the hum to start. Now I sit down, open the file, scan the agenda, and I automatically know how to organize my thoughts. The hum is a support now, not
What's the engine?
habit. 7 months of doing it and my brain learned on its own. No external cue needed.
I filed that observation away. Then I went to stop humming. Was that your expectation? Once the structure stabilizes, external markers become unnecessary. The hum is a transitional tool. When the system develops its own internal rhythm, the transitional tools naturally fall away.
So the goal of your work is to make yourself unnecessary?
Yes, a successful adjustment is one where the system runs on its own. Then the adjuster can move on.
What's next for you?
That night I lay in bed thinking, if her goal was to make a finished piece that wouldn't needed tuning, but she hadn't. Fevers, the paint half who did no long needing a hand.
One night I stayed late, and when I was leaving, I noticed a small desk lamp still on at Bella's workstation. She was sitting there, not looking at her computer, not flipping through papers, just sitting, holding the iron grate, placing it on the right side of the paperweight 2 inches, then picking it up, placing it again.
What are you doing? I'm calibrating.
Calibrating what?
Position.
She shifted the quill left by less than a millimeter, then let go and stared at it for a few seconds like she was waiting to see if it held.
This exact distance between the paperweight and the pen, it's the first thing I confirm before I start work every day. If they're off, the day's rhythm drifts slightly. 1 millimeter causes drift? Not noticeably, but it accumulates. 1 millimeter off over 8 hours becomes centimeters of drift. After a few days, it starts affecting my posture, the depth of my breathing, the angle of my wrists while typing. Then it affects my perception of meeting rhythm. It affects the department's coordination to every large deviation starts with the smallest shift in position. I stood there watching her adjust the quill to what she considered exact. She said it so matter-of-factly, like she was explaining why a screw needs specific torque. So that pen was never for writing. It's for measuring. Measuring whether my own position is accurate. That night, I went back to my apartment, put my phone on the nightstand, then picked it up and moved it 1 inch to the left. How many millimeters was I drifting through every day without noticing?
Month 9. Something happened that shifted my entire perspective. The compartment had begun 1 month. In by dust is twerspy as marfrey. Experience that should have taken Ben at least 8 weeks, with at least 3 or 4 coordinized them marked timelines and ticketed meetings on the way. And then things just happened. Tech had the environment ready on time.
Product submitted test cases 2 days early. Sales updated client documentation within 4 hours of migration completion. I sent exactly 2 confirmation emails the whole time. No pushing, no follow-ups, no can I get a status update. The project finished 6 days early. At the closeout meeting, the project lead said, This was the smoothest migration in 2 years.
I sat at the conference table, watching Bella in the corner. She didn't speak, didn't write, just sat. Her face looked the same as always, no trace of I did this. Afterward, I walked over to her.
You didn't intervene in a single step of this migration. No. But it finished early.
Because it wasn't finished this time, it's been slowly reorganized over the last 9 months, every meeting rhythm adjusted, every task allocation optimized, a travel approval accelerated, all of it was building pitches for this moment. Today's migration is just a result.
Not all at 9 months, the real finish and every single tracks she'd laid. And the ones who ran fast thought it was their own speed.
Month 10, employee-led adaptations became widespread. Different departments developed their own variations. Sales swapped the hum for a tap on the desk as a cue. Product started with writing a single word on the whiteboard. Finance just did a collective 1-minute silence before starting. Bella never commented on any of these variations, good or bad. She just passed by. Sometimes when she saw someone in silence, she'd slow her step, but she wouldn't stop.
Kate, why is everyone doing different things but getting similar results?
I crouched down to her eye level. She'd just that light her eyes that hadn't been worn down by process.
The core is giving yourself 1 second before speaking to confirm. Confirm what you're going to do. Confirm your attention has arrived. Everyone confirms differently. Some need sound, some need silence, some need to touch the table. Different methods, same essence.
How did Bella get everyone to find their own way?
I thought for a moment. She didn't make anyone find anything. She just made sending aloud and start talking. Now people know you can do one small thing to prepare yourself.
Permission. That's the biggest change.
The intern nodded and walked away. She got to her desk, paused, placed her palm on the surface for 1 second, then started typing. She found her own way, or rather, she discovered she had permission to have one. Now Bella sat at her desk, handling much less than when she started. Not because she'd gotten lazy, because things were getting resolved before they reached her. Travel approvals that used to pile up on her desk were now being filled correctly at submission, no need for her to kick them back. Meeting conflicts that used to need her mediation were now being aligned in advance by teams themselves. Processes she used to follow up on by phone were now automatically pinged by the system. Her pending folder had gone from 3 stacks to a slim single binder. Set the paper watered, adjusted the quill,
and started at 8:32.
One day I couldn't help asking, your workload is down about 70%. Are you still okay staying in this role?
She looked up. This place still needs someone to make sure the structure doesn't drift. When everything's running smoothly, there's nothing to do. But when an anomaly appears, someone needs to sense it before it becomes a problem.
You can sense anomalies? Yes. When the intervals in any part of the process stretching, I can feel it. Not through data, through sound. Sound? The office's noise spectrum. When everything's working right, the keyboard sounds, printer hum, footsteps, phone calls, they have a fixed ratio. When any frequency starts getting louder or so softer, it means something is off. I don't need to jump in and fix it. I just need to know. I tried to hear the ratio she was talking about, but to me, they were just noise. To her, it was a map. And I was sitting inside a map, unable to see my own core. Month 11, I ran an experiment. I organized a cross-functional coordination meeting without telling Bella. I wanted to see what the meeting would look like without her presence. It was an experiment I was a little afraid of. I was scared it would prove she was already irreplaceable, but I needed to know. The meet 12 attendees from 5 departments. I sat in Bella's usual seat, ready to take notes. First round of speaking started. Amy from marketing paused a beat before speaking. Not nerves, just her usual rhythm. When she finished, Tom from tech didn't jump in right away. He waited half a beat like he was letting the previous speaker's words point. The whole meeting ran 48 minutes, every item covered. No overruns, no interruptions, no moments where I needed to push. I sat in the empty conference room and wrote in my notebook. She wasn't here, but her structure was. That meeting was proof. Bella wasn't in the room, but Bella's rhythm was. It had become part of the airs, those first sentences that cut straight to the core, those no one was consciously executing them. They just happened, naturally. I went back to the floor. Bella was at her desk. I walked over. She looked up. You weren't at that meeting.
I know.
The rhythm was the same as when you're there.
That's expected. Once the structure is embedded, the architect doesn't need to be present. You can run independently now.
I took the document and looked down. It was a process manual, but she hadn't written it. There was no trace of her handwriting anywhere. It was a standard format, clear stage-ord reference you'll need.
What is this?
I could have been sitting my initial work in this department. The next calibrations, you'll discover yourself.
Month 12. The company restructured. Operations was folded into a larger process efficiency center. Bella's title changed from executive assistant to process coordinator specialist. Her scope was no longer limited to operations. It expanded to company-wide cross-departmental floors. She wasn't fixed on 6 anymore.
Sometimes she'd spend the whole morning on products floor. Sometimes sales. Sometimes tech. But no matter which floor, she did the same thing. Sit quietly, listen, then adjust structure. What did Bella do on your floor?
She did nothing. She just showed up, sat through our morning stand-ups for 3 days. On day 4, she left, and our weekly meetings started ending 10 minutes early.
Did she give you any advice?
No. Before she left, she said one thing. You could switch your speaking order, put client feedback first, then back it up with internal data. That was it. Then she left.
And you changed it?
We tried it. Found it worked better. Simple as that.
I went back to about it all day. To each floor, she made the smallest possible adjustment. 1 sentence, 1 order, 1 resequence. Then she left and the structure ran itself, like someone leaving with one key. Lock it opened and people found the right doors on their own. After she left, the door stayed open. By month 13, I'd stopped asking Bella why, because I no longer needed to know. I knew she arrived at 8:27. Knew she'd walk her loop before sitting. Knew the quill stat exactly 2 inches to the right of the paperweight. Knew that when she processed travel approvals, she made a different kind of checkmark in the confirmed box. Not a tick, but a small dot, like she was saying, noted. Her presence had become as natural as the office lights. You don't ask why are the lights on every day, you just know they should be. One day we were alone in the elevator, 6 floors down to 1, 20 seconds of silence. That purchase request you processed last week, there was a data error, but you caught it early.
How do you know I caught it?
Because the request wasn't kicked back. I checked the system log, you contacted the submit with instance for receiving it and corrected it before it entered the approval flow.
You're still watching my data?
That's my job. I stood in the elevator, watching the doors close. She wasn't observing, she was just reading the system, and I was just one data stream in it. Strangely, I didn't feel offended, I felt safe, knowing someone was watching all the data. Every deviation would be noticed before it became a mistake. New hires kept coming. The company grew from 3,000 to 3,500. Most new people had heard about the hum tradition, but they reacted differently. Some treated it like a fun ritual. Some felt awkward and skipped it. Some tried it right away, liked it after 2 weeks, and kept it. I watched 3 new hires specifically. First, a guy fresh out of business school. He looked startled hearing the hum in his first weekly meeting. Week 2, he tried it himself.
It felt like flipping a switch. Pretty cool.
Second, a senior product manager who'd come from another company where he'd worked for 8 years. He politely declined all the habits. He'd show up 10 minutes early to the meeting room, read through all the materials, and wait for others to speak. His prep was studying in advance. But week 3, before a team presentation, she let out the softest hum like a bee's whisper. So quiet almost no one heard it, but she did. That day, she got through her entire presentation. Still blushing, but her voice didn't shake. I wrote down 3 IDs in my notebook, then scribbled in the margin. Different methods, but all found their own prep move. Bella hadn't taught a single one. They discovered it themselves because the environment allowed discovery. The word permission started echoing in my head. Everything she'd done boiled down to one word, permission. One night in month 13, I stayed late. Bella was there too. She rarely worked late, but tonight she stayed later than usual. She sat at her desk, the quill and a blank notebook in front of her. I walked over and sat in the chair next to her. What are you waiting for? A signal. What signal? This afternoon, finance's closing process had a drift. One approval step took 15 minutes longer than usual. I'm waiting for the person in charge to notice it and correct it themselves. What if they don't notice?
They will, because process pressure will automatically push the deviance back to normal. If it goes past 24 hours without correction, I'll intervene, but usually it's not necessary. We waited about 20 minutes. Her screen flickered, a system notification. She clicked it, read for 1 second, then promptly shut down the computer.
Corrected? He noticed his submission timing was off and resubmitted. The system's back to normal. You don't need to wait here. It's supposed to happen, will happen. Your job is to keep the framework stable, not to make sure every detail is right. Details correct themselves.
Trusting the system was about believing that when you built the frame would do its own work. Then I stood up, turned off the lights, locked the door, and left too.
By the end of month 13, finance had developed its own variation. They invented the digital hum, not a sound, but tapping the desk 3 times with a pen. 3 taps, even rhythm, then start.
Finance director said, we tried the hum, but it felt too performative for us. The tap is more low-key. It's mostly for ourselves anyway.
Sales went the opposite direction. They turned the hum into a kind of prelogue. Everyone had their own unique tone and length, like the opening notes of a song. Davis still did the classic. But his people had variations. Some used some just took one deep breath. Tech had up-leveled entirely. Before presentations,
The whole team would stare at a completely black slide for 10 seconds. No one spoke, typed, or moved. Then slide transition, and the presentation began. I sat in on one of Tech's group silences. For those 10 seconds, the room's air felt frozen. Then time was up, the lead spoke, and his voice cut through like ice hitting glass.
The whole meeting resolved 3 technical decisions in just 1 hour. I slightly rated the departments in my sales hum was dramatic, finance tap, the most humble, tech silence, the most severe. But their cores all pointed to the same action. Before opening your mouth, confirm I am here. If Bella saw these variation is stable, surface diversity is healthy. She might add, diversity means the system is adapting itself. A self-adapting system doesn't need to be maintained. Month 14. The company decided to document this rhythm adjustment in the process manual. Not as a policy, as an index of optional practices. The document said, in meetings and task handoffs, you may adjust speaking rhythm to improve information transfer.
Methods include but are not limited to humming, pausing, writing, or silence. I was in charge of writing it. When I finished, I showed it to Bella. She read for 30 seconds, then said, you can remove the words but are not limited to in the methods section.
Why?
Because if you include it, readers will try to look for all possible methods. Without it, they'll discover on their own. Discovery is more powerful than being told.
I cut but are not limited to. When the doc was published, I watched the internal forum for feedback. No one asked what are the other ways. They just kept using their own methods, some I'd never even seen. One designer said she changed her computer wallpaper to a solid blue screen before presenting, and started speaking under that blue gaze. Bella was right. People don't need a menu of options. They need to know they have a choice. Once that's established, they'll find methods you'd never imagine. Month 15. A failure I hadn't predicted. A cross-functional project delivered a day late. Not because anyone slacked. An external supplier had shipped late. But that delay ended up impacting downstream schedules for 3 departments. Normally, this kind of thing would take at least 2 days of coordination meetings to realign timelines. I was out to send an email calling a meeting when Bella walked up to my desk. You don't need a meeting. I've already in-ordered the downstream task dependencies. The impact of the delay is compressed to half a day. How did you do that?
I turned 3 serial tasks into parallel ones, while tech waits for materials, product can prep documentation, and test can configure the environment. These 3 used to be sequential, but actually they can run in parallel. No one had broken them apart before.
When did you make this adjustment?
This morning, 3 minutes after receiving the supplier delay notice.
I sat there trying to calculate how much she'd done in 3 minutes. Receive info, assess impact, reorder dependencies, reallocate tasks across 3 teams.
3 minutes.
How do you do it so fast?
Because I've been waitings aren't anomalies, she said. Anomaly accidents. They're part of the system. If you know they're inevitable, you can pre-solve them before they happen.
You pre-solved it?
Yes.
And I wasn't quite a smile.
I analyzed every possible external dependency risk and pre-built corresponding structural adjustments.
I didn't know what to say anymore. She wasn't here to work. She was here to execute a plan. And then that plan had been written the day she walked in. I just now figured out the title. Month 16. I finally found a lead while digging through the company's historical archives. 3 years ago, Hive had acquired a small data analytics firm. That firm's core product was an organizational co-organization algorithm. The designer's name on the patent was B.H. Vera. Bella Harper? I checked her HR file. Under previous employer, she'd listed that data analytics firm. She hadn't come to learn administration. She'd come to apply the algorithm she'd designed. The entire company was her lab for complex system self-organization. I didn't know whether to feel used or honored. I sat in my chair for a long time, watching clouds move outside. Picked up my phone to text her, then put it back down.
Because some things didn't need confirmation, the facts were clear enough. That afternoon, I ran into Bella in the hallway. She was coming back from tech, a cup of tea in her hand, steam rising in a small cloud in front of her face.
You used to be a researcher at that data firm. You found it. You wrote the algorithm.
Yes.
So all of it, the hums, the rhythms, the sequences, it's an application of your system. The system was designed, but people's choices weren't. I just built an environment that allowed them to opt in naturally. They were their creations. My algorithms can only create conditions, it can't create behavior. She walked past me. Her footsteps echoed in the hall for a few steps, then turned the corner and vanished. I stood there. She'd admitted it, but not in a you're all my experiment kind of way. What she'd said was true. She'd only created the conditions. How people chose to use them was something else entirely. Month 17. A new phenomena appeared. Some departments started dropping their rhythm tools. Not because they opposed them, because they no longer needed them. Tech still used silence, but its frequency dropped from every meeting to do project kickoffs. Sales only hummed before major client pitches now. Financiers tapping had become occasionally when someone's nervous. I ran the numbers company-wide. Total meeting time was down 32% year over year. But more importantly, meeting quality was up. People were saying less but delivering more. Faster decisions, fewer reversals. I presented these numbers at the monthly management meeting.
So our efficiency is up, but the tools we're using are down?
Yes, because the tools have internalized into habits. No more external triggers needed.
So what's next?
I opened my mouth and had no answer. Then Bella, she was attending as process coordinator, spoke up. Next isn't adding new tools. It's keeping the current framework stable. Let the habits consolidate, then observe the next evolution.
Howard looked at her. How long will that take?
2 months. Or 3 years. The evolution speed of a system isn't determined by the designer. It's determined by the system's adaptation rate. Howard nodded and didn't press further.
That data firm.
After the meeting, he patted some of your former colleagues. They told me your sys never give a final answer, only the next question.
Bella didn't deny it. Because the right answer isn't fixed. The right answer is every moment of the evolution itself.
Howard walked away. I watched Bella. She was organizing her notebook, her face as calm as if nothing had happened.
Month 18. I started listening to The Office through Bella's lens. It wasn't a metaphor. I sat at my desk, muted all audio, and just listened with my eyes closed. Keyboards, Chinner startups, ACF flow, distant phone rings. These sounds used to be noise, background, things to tune out. But now I started hearing their patterns. When keyboard sounds got sparse, someone was hesitating. When footsteps slowed, someone was approaching an uncertain decision. When the copier ran over 20 seconds straight, someone was batch printing, likely preparing for a meeting. I didn't need to open my eyes to sense the office's state. One afternoon, I listened with my eyes closed for about 5 minutes and suddenly noticed something. The keyboard rhythm had changed. The frequency, the intervals, like someone was lightly tapping an instrument I didn't recognize. I opened my eyes and asked my neighbor, did someone just switch keyboards?
He thought for a moment. Oh, the new intern swapped to a mechanical keyboard. Sounded more clicky. How'd you know?
I heard the frequency shift. He looked at me like I'd just started speaking a foreign language. I caught myself too. Since when did I hear at that level? I hadn't practiced intentionally. I just sat in the same office every day, been silently tuned by Bella for 18 months. Even my ears had been recalibrated. That night, I wrote in my journal, I thought she was adjusting processes. She was actually adjusting how we perceive processes. Month 18. The external rhythm cues were fading from daily work entirely. Tech only used silence for project launches. Sales hummed solely for client to pitches. Finance tapped desks occasionally under stress. I pulled the full company metric. Total meeting time down through far fewer reverse decisions.
So efficiency rises while our rhythm tools drop.
The external cues have turned internal. We no longer need triggers to stay aligned. The next step is stabilizing the framework, letting habits solidify before new evolution.
How long do we wait for full consolidation?
2 months or 3 years. System evolution speed belongs to its people, not the designer.
Your old team said your algorithms never give final answers, only the next question.
The right answer is every moment of evolution, not a fixed finish line. I stood by the window, finally understanding her core work. Only build space for organization. 2 years of small, quiet adjustments Bella made across every shaped team. I walked the floor, watching every person hold their own unique, steady rhythm. During Moondust break, she lifted and replaced the quill, shifting it by less than a millimeter to calibrate her space.
Has this self-organized system fully reached stability now? She lifted her dark brown eyes and held my gaze long, judging I was ready to take full charge.
The full cycle is complete. All future calibrations rest on you.
What about you then? Where will you go next?
There are other uncalibrated systems elsewhere, but not yet time to leave.
Dusk fell over the office. Teams held precise meetings without coordination support. Empty conference room retained the U-shaped layout and organaged speaking sequence she designed. The next day, Bella arrived at 8:27 sharp, completing her daily floor rule. She passed every team, slowed its client Celtris without humming, his internal rhythm fully stable. The intern paused and laid her palm on the desk for 1 second as she worked. On my desk, I placed an empty glass paperwart and pen 2 inches apart. I stared at them, realizing order no longer needed by HR its architect to sustain it. Bella still processed travel approvals each day, her movements fluid and effortless.
A new cross-project ran entirely self-managed. I only sent 2 confirmation mails. After the meeting, I glanced at her usual empty corner, the rhythm held without her. Late overtime, she sat alone in the windowless new conference room, measuring echo. She jotted acoustic threshold numbers to adjust speaker gaps. Vera returned to observe, confirming the shared team language was replicable. Vera told me her firm had adopted the same self-organized framework. That night at home, I shifted my phone an inch left, thinking of tiny calibrations. Wide shot of city office lights, her Hive rhythm spread far beyond this building. Morning by the pantry, I asked her for the full definition of Hive governance. Hive governance only removes barriers, never controls.